Saltshadow, an Obsidian Spears story. The first body rose with the tide. It drifted out of the tunnel mouth in a slow, almost graceful roll, pale face turning to the hive's dim light, as if to taste it one last time. The corpse bumped against the rusted rungs of a service ladder, fingers brushing flaking paint, then sank again into the oil-sheened water. On the quay above, the Arbites and stormtroopers fell silent. They had seen bomb collars fail, hab blocks collapse, riots torn apart by suppression fire. They had watched cultists burn on pyres and heard prisoners beg for the Emperor's mercy through broken teeth. Bodies in the underhive tunnels were nothing new. But this steady trickle of the dead rising from beneath their boots, felt different. Along the quay's edge, lumens glared into the dark. Harsh white beams shone on swollen faces and slack mouths, on the grey-green tinge of skin that had been too long in cold water. The bodies kept coming, buoyed by a slow undercurrent that drew them out of the tunnels like offerings pushed by an unseen hand. Inquisitor Cassia Orsian closed a cogitator slate with a soft, decisive click. She was tall, composed, wrapped in a sealskin dark coat that hid her carapace plating. Her rosette hung half-concealed at her throat. She watched the bodies with the stillness of someone who had already imagined much worse. "This is the third wave today," she said, "and that's with the primary gates sealed. They should be trapped below. Yet here they are." Beside her stood a giant in black jade-edged plate, regarded the tunnel mouth without speaking. His armor looked like something carved from seabed basalt, salt corrosion lingering in the joints. The lenses of the helm that covered his face glowed faintly teal, reflections of the lamps catching along the wet curves of his armor. Hanging at his hip was a patu, a heavy stone war club with a beaked striking edge, black-glassed and cold. Brother Vaikato of the Obsidian Spears stared at the bodies with quiet intent, counting details. Work shifts, maintenance tags, scraped knuckles, calluses, drownings that made no sense. "You were certain of cult activity in the tunnels," he said, his voice a low rumble through the external vox. Orsian nodded. "After the last bombing, they vanished. Vox ghosts, power fluctuations, chanting under the flood alarms. They move with the tides, strike and disappear. We purged subhabs and found only altars." "And now this," Vaikato murmured. "Once we sealed the main access ways," she said, "the bodies began rising. There's no reason for it. They would have clawed the walls before drowning." "They didn't claw," Vaikato said. "They accepted it." Her gaze shifted to him. "Your chapter master said you specialize in aquatic anomalies." A wry pulse of humor flickered through Vaikato's chest. "We know when something beneath the surface stirs the currents against us." He studied the tunnel mouth, water pulsing in and out like a breathing throat. "Saltshadow Protocol," he said. The Arbite's marshal frowned. Orsian's eyes narrowed fractionally. "What is that?" she asked. "A tactic," Vaikato replied. "When the reef hides something you cannot see, you flood it and drag everything down together. Then you dive and see what remains." "You want to flood the tunnels," she said quietly. "They're already drowning," Vaikato replied. "We make it deliberate, controlled. We seal every hatch we can. We open others. Their sanctuary becomes a trap." "And any loyal workers left down there?" the marshal asked. "Better they drown serving the Emperor," another spear said flatly, "than live to serve his enemies." Orsian did not flinch. She had signed far worse orders. "If you fail," she asked, "when do you want me to open every gate?" Vaikato looked at the tunnel, silent save for the slow breath of water. "If we fail, you flood everything. Do not stop until the bones grind against the gates, even if you hear nothing from us. And how will I know if you succeed?" Vaikato's helm turned toward her. The water will run red. The access hatch groaned open, spilling a wash of stale, damp air. Floodlights carved through the dark. Algae-slick walls, rusted grating, shallow water tugging at scattered debris. Vaikato stepped through first, boots sinking into the grating with solid weight. His helm fed him a constant wash of atmospheric data. Beneath it all was a faint taste of copper and brine, a taste he had learned to trust. "Squad mark," he voxed over the tactical channel. "Recaro point," Vaikato ordered. "Aye, tide's with us," Recaro said. Hawa murmured, "assuming he doesn't walk into another sump pit." "One time," Recaro grumbled. "One?" "Enough," Vaikato said. But there was the ghost of warmth under the word. 2 by 2, watch your sectors. The Obsidian Spears fanned out, filling the tunnel like a walking barricade. Bolters ready. Patu clipped to hips, black armor absorbing the torchlight and returning nothing. "Saltshadow is in effect," Tech Marine Tariva voxed from above. "Primary gates sealed, secondary valves standing by. You are in grid Gamma 7. Expected rise, 1 meter in 20 minutes when you signal." "Hold until my word," Vaikato said, "and keep the machine spirits in line." "The machine spirits," Tariva replied, "are agitated. They moved deeper." The tunnel widened into a sump chamber. Bodies floated there, packed so tightly they resembled a macabre raft. Pale faces, slack mouths, some twisted in rictus, others disturbingly serene. "They didn't fight the water," Hawa murmured. "No," Vaikato said, "they welcomed it." And deeper still they went, down rusted spiral stairwells into the hive's lungs. Chanting drifted toward them, low, steady, rhythmic. Human voices in layered cadence like waves slapping shorestones. The rhythm tugged at Vaikato's memory. It echoed the work songs of Tuaruan hull scrapers, who sang in time with the swing of their tools as they cleaned the underside of great ocean vessels. Only here the beat was wrong. Slow where it should have been lively. Heavy where it should have been grounding. Blessed be the depth that takes us. Drown the light above. Let us sink, let us sink. Auspex scans showed dozens ahead, and at their center, a wrongness. A heatless knot of distortion where geometry folded in on itself. "Forward," Vaikato ordered. The tunnel opened into a domed chamber. Water pooled waist deep. Dozens knelt in spirals, eyes closed, swaying with the current, hands held up as if in worship. At the chamber's center loomed a shrine made of bodies. Rib cages wired into metal struts. Skulls mortared with fat and sealant, spines woven like prayer beads, augmetic lenses and corpse eyes all riveted to face a single point above. There, hanging in the air, shimmered a warp haze, a membrane, a wound. Vaikato felt pressure on his eyes, his teeth, his thoughts. "Sergeant," Tariva voxed tight. The more they chant, the more the floodgates respond. They rewrote flow algorithms into a litany. The machine spirits obey. "They built a beacon," Vaikato said, "a false tide." The cultists opened their eyes, gray, drowned. "Look," one whispered, "angels of the deep." Vaikato stepped into the chamber. "You poisoned this hive. You raised an idol of bone and filth. You will drown in your own song." "Sink," the cult whispered. The water heaved. A surge slammed into the room, smashing kneeling bodies aside and hammering the tunnel mouth. The Obsidian Spears braced, mag boots locking, armor servos howling. "Tereva," Vaikato barked. Secondary valves opening on their own, fighting them. "Hold." Vaikato lifted his bolter. "Brothers, break the reef." They advanced in a tight wedge. Subsonic shots thudded through cultists. Water reddened. Chanting never stopped. The distortion pulsed brighter, as if feeding. Vaikato's bolter clicked empty. He slung it aside and reached for the patu. The stone club came free with a satisfying weight, beaked edge glinting like volcanic glass. Teriva, Vaikato Vox, when I break it, drown the room. Acknowledged, Emperor, guide your aim. Vaikato pushed through the churning water toward the shrine. Cultists clawed at him. He knocked them aside. The bone structure twisted, the distortion above growing teeth and depth. He raised the patu, and the air thickened around it. Not like resistance, like a hand. The warp dragged at the weapon, trying to freeze the swing mid-air. Water pulled sideways in a sudden undertow. His armor groaned under the strain. His vision blurred. His tongue tasted lightning and brine. He forced through it. With a roar, Vaikato brought the patu down. The blow cracked the heart of the shrine, bone, metal, and soul stuff shattering under the weight. A gout of sickly knot light burst out. The distortion rippled and collapsed inward with a sound like a riptide sucking an ocean down a drain. "Now!" Vaikato shouted. Teriva opened every valve. Floods hit the chamber like a hammer from all directions at once. Cultists vanished in a whirl of limbs and screams. Bodies slammed into walls. The shrine collapsed entirely, its broken core sinking into silt. The Obsidian Spears anchored themselves with fists or patu jammed into metal loops as water tore past them with killing force. Then slowly the surge receded. Draining the tunnels took minutes. Climbing out through the access hatch took seconds. Stormtroopers lowered their weapons as the 6 Astartes emerged, soaked, battered, and alive. Orsian stepped forward. "Report." Vaikato looked back at the tunnel, now quiet. It was not just men down there. They built a shrine from your dead. They taught the hive's pumps a new song. Can it be sung again? Not by them. Orsian's eyes hardened. How close were we? If they had finished, Vaikato said, this hive would not have simply drowned. It would have called something to watch it drown. She breathed out once, sharp. Then, Saltshadow, your tactic was necessary. Vaikato regarded her in silence for a moment, then spoke quietly. Saltshadow is a rite of the Obsidian Spears, not shared, not named. It is taught only in the depths' drowned vaults. It is a weapon kept hidden, even from allies. And now I know it, Orsian said. Yes, Vaikato replied. We do not share it lightly. If we speak it to you, Inquisitor, it is either trust, he paused, or warning. She inclined her head. I will take it as both. An Arbite's acolyte bent to pick something from the ground. A cogitator key fob scratched with a crude whirlpool symbol. Orsian handed it to Vaikato. A piece of their doctrine, she said. A piece of their pattern, Vaikato corrected. He clipped it to a ring of similar trophies at his belt. Flotsam tells where the current has been and where it's going. Later, aboard the Tides Eternal, Vaikato stood before a hololith showing the planet below, its hive clusters glowing faintly, its oceans dark. He touched the new key fob. The patu at his hip knocked softly against his thigh. Saltshadow echoed in his mind. Saltshadow, their word. Shared now. A blade unsheathed in front of someone outside the chapter for the first time in generations. Not trust entirely. Not threat entirely. A signal. A line in the sand. A warning to the dark and a promise to the Imperium. Vaikato watched storm fronts curl across the oceans and murmured, wherever the current turns foul, the spears will be there. Far below, the hive slept, unaware how close it had come to becoming a beacon. The tunnels beneath it were quiet now, their machine spirits soothed, their walls carved with fresh Twaru and wards. But somewhere else, another tide would rise. When it did, Saltshadow would fall again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have enjoyed this story,